Hello Advanced Steel users, this is Craig and welcome to this workflow series that I'm going to create with some online videos to help understand the usage of advanced steel in a little bit more of an efficient workflow as far as many facets including modeling, drawing style managers, or drawing styles and drawing creation. Anyway, what I'm going to do here today is show you how I'm using custom components for Grabrail and Guardrail Returns. And I'm going to go over here first of all and show you this handrail returns file that I've created. And basically this is my library for all of my custom components and their different conditions here that they're serving. As you can see, what I like to do to make the graphics a little bit better in your custom components, and I'll refer to you any kind of an online video explaining custom components because I'm not going to cover that here, but again you click this box here and you'll see that the user template is comes up and it's included the name, you've got your type of custom component, driver situations, and then the description of each, but again that's in another video. I might try to make one. But what I usually like to try to do is I'm going to eliminate these different graphics on the screen so that we can have a cleaner looking graphic when I call it up in the other file. You'll see what I'm talking about here. I'm going to go ahead and select these beam features. In fact, I'll use my tool here. I'm going to hide all the beam features. Okay. I'll go ahead and save that off so that I can have the file ready. Now, what I have here is a Grabrail, or excuse me, a guardrail that's just a standard 42-inch guardrail with pickets. And I want to be able to return these with a loop return here. And usually you have to model these things out by placing the universal coordinate system in a good position and at the center of the tube, and then creating all your components and tying them together with the elbow macro. And what I want to show you here is what I've come up with. Now each one of these custom templates that I've created has a graphic, and again I just created a little cleaner look by taking this file and clearing all the extra graphical indicators off of there. If you notice here, if I go and turn my welds off and then I get back to this file, you'll notice that the welds will be gone. So anything on the screen in your custom component file is going to show up here in the graphic, and now you don't have that anymore. That's kind of nice. You can also zoom in or pan these around. You can't rotate them, but you can at least resize them if you have to. So anyway, what I want to do is take this and create a loop return. I've got one specifically designed here, and it's this one right here. Now you notice here I've got an A and a B. Sometimes the universal coordinate systems and your models will throw you kind of a loop, and it's hard to tell exactly if it was going to be a left hand or a right hand up because sometimes they react differently. So I've tried to label them as A and B so that if one doesn't work I can go to the other one and try it. So here, if you notice, this orientation is going to give us probably what we need. So you can either double click on this or you can hit OK. But anyway, my first selection is to select the post. Select that post and then select the grab rail, and then you've got an automatic population of this piece. And notice how I have the allow object modification off. Well, if you select that, you can alter the components within the blue box here. So this is a nice loop that was created specifically for this rail setting with a 2¼ inch space between the post and the handrail itself. And again, if I want to select the allow modification, then I can go in here and move these things around to adjust my length. You see how it adjusts. You've got to be careful when you make these because you've got to make sure that your members are going to allow you to adjust it with the most distance available so that it doesn't give you strange results. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll quickly put that one over here as well. I'm going to use the other side. And this one, we're going to need the other one. Again, your post is on this side and the return is on the other, and that matches the orientation here. I'm going to double click that, select the post, and then there we go again. Here, another condition that you might run into while making rails is you want to have this grab rail terminate directly into the post. Created a configuration for that as well. And let's see if I can find it here. Here we go. I've got these labeled out to post. They're all 1¼ pipe. This is a radius return to post, and again, this one wouldn't be the correct orientation, but this one would. So I'm going to go ahead and double click this. It says select post first and grab rail. You notice how you've got a nice connection there. And again, the same thing here. You can actually, if you want to double click this and allow modification, you can go in here and change this to a miter if you'd like, which is kind of convenient. So once you allow modification, as long as you've saved the joint box with your custom component, you can in most cases change those. Okay, so let me go ahead and get my universal coordinate system back. I'm going to do the same thing here with this one. I'm going to go to post and utilize the same one. Select post, select grab rail, and boom, there we go. It's pretty effortless. Now we'll get into some more complicated conditions here. Let's say, for instance, I have a loop return that I want to create here, and of course, if you model this thing by hand, it's going to take you a little time, and then you've got to, either copy the entire thing or mirror it over to the other one. I've created a couple of custom components that work real well here, and I've got two different conditions. There's kind of a Miami-Dade life safety condition. Well, this is particularly important in Miami-Dade County, where they have a 1'11" distance, and they need a straight 12 inches off of the return or the loop. You'll see what I'm talking about when I select this. I'm going to take this component and go ahead and install it here. There you go. And this one, what I've done here when I create these components is I'm using a 12-inch stringer and basically an 1.5 inch offset for the start of the rail here. And so what I'm doing is creating this component to where in a stock situation it would be 35 inches above the ground, and that is 2'11". The code calls for anywhere from 34 to 38, but I want to do 2'11". That's the best chance our fabricators have. I don't want to go down to 2'10", because if they fabricated it a little short, then the inspector might flag it in the field. So basically the same thing goes here. You can allow for modification, and then again, if I want to adjust the distance, or even the height, actually. I'm going to go ahead and try the height here. Let's say that you have a different riser height other than 7 inches here, and you want to adjust it from 35. Let's say that you're using a different stringer, for instance. Let me go ahead and get my alright, I've got my universal coordinate system where I want it. I'll select the entire group. I want to go up a little bit because there's only a certain amount of travel you're going to have in these movements here. Let's say up a little bit. You see how it adjusts automatically, and then again, there's only a certain point down that you're going to be able to go without the macro for this miter acting up a little bit. So you'll have to experiment a little when you try to adjust these, and especially for this particular one. All right, so let me get back to my my other side of this. Go with the Miami-Dade return, and that one looks pretty good. Double click, select the post, select that guy, and boom, we've got returns here with little or no effort, and they are adjustable. Another thing you can do, I've got to raise my microphone here, hang on. Another thing that you can do, which is really cool, is you can take these components and you can copy them with your parametric copy over here in this group. Basically make it a joint group with these custom components, and if you allow modification, then all the ones that you've copied will actually fall in line parametrically with that modification, and that's a real convenient thing in some cases. Now up here I have another deal where I would go with a straight return, and let me get back to here. I'm going to go with the level return, and that it looks like it's in the correct orientation. We're going to double click, select a post, select that guy in there, and we've got a nice return. And again, we can allow modification to adjust it to the minimum of 12 inches from that nosing to the tip here, which is the code. Now this one right here, if I want to create a return that's basically connected to a plate that's welded between these two pickets, there's a way that I've got to do this here, and I've got a custom component created. And what I'll do here is take the UCS, place it right here, and I've got a little alias set up for my snap. So I'm going to go ahead and activate the 2D snaps on and change the wireframe mode so I can see it a little better. Then I'm going to create a line here, and I'm going to go straight across to the other picket on the inside and hit enter. And if you notice here, this line, actually, you know what, I don't want it there. I want to go ahead and move it to the other one. So let's try that again. I want to move it a little further out. And let's see, connect here. Okay, and you notice here that I have this line. This is basically in between each face here. So I'm going to take my, now that I've got this set as a reference, then I'm going to go, well, first of all, you've got to turn your 2D snaps off, or it'll foul up the component that you're trying to put into place. So with that, I'm going to take this one created. It's basically a radius return with a plate. And here we go with the correct orientation. I'm going to go ahead and double click that. And it says select Grabrail level. This has got to be a level piece of tube in your model. It can't be a sloped one. And hit enter, and then ref point, center of plate, which is right here. That's my line. And then boom, we've got another beautiful return with very minimal setup. Now also remember that you notice here that this plate is not quite big enough to go end to end here. So what you're going to do is you're going to double click here, allow modification, and go ahead and select this plate, and I'm going to pull it over to snap here and on the other side. And then if we go back to our shaded, you see it's nice and tucked in there. So that's a real quick modification that you might have to make to the plate in most cases, so that it'll go face to face on the pickets. All right, and let's go ahead and go to some different conditions here with the walls. Here, I'll just demonstrate to you, there's just a regular loop return that connects to the actual sloped grab rail. And let me show you that one. Okay, now this is the correct orientation. You notice how this is, instead of a Miami-Dade life safety, return that's way out there, this just terminates down, and you're going to have the 1 foot from the tread here, but you're just going to plug right into the slope. So let me double click that, select post, select grab rail, and then there we go. We got a nice return. Again, this is adjustable in depth this way, and also in height. You can pull this down as far as you want, or go up as far as this piece of tubing will allow you to do. Okay, so if I want to take this wall rail and I want to wrap this around this wall, if you notice here, there's a lot of conditions where you might have a stair that's going to come out to the wall like this, and you're not going to necessarily be able to stick straight out here. Let's say you have a sidewalk going here, and then you would even have to change this guy right here to a different condition that would not impede the walkway. But I'll go ahead and start with this one first. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the wrap return to the wall there. Let me find it here. Okay, I'm just going to go through these real quick. Okay, there we go. Now that one looks like what I want. So I'm going to double click this. It says select Grabrail. I'm going to select the Grabrail, and I've already put this point here. Now this point is the correct distance for this condition. So you'll notice here that boom, we have a beautiful return with the bracket and the anchor bolt ready to rock. You know, with the proper distance from here to over here is 12 inches minimum. And that also takes into account the space. We've got 2 1/4 between the wall and the actual inside of the rail, and the same condition here. And we've got approximately 1/8 of an inch separated from the wall to the return. What you can do is you can modify this if you have to go further up this way. Unfortunately, the custom connections aren't parametric, so you can't necessarily create something that's going to resize itself in every condition. You can resize it somewhat, but most of that will have to be done manually. So if you wanted to resize this to pull it further this way, or to set it out further this way and then pull this portion back to where the miter is going to match up, you'd have to, you know, allow modification and move it. Now again, this is a condition where, let's say that you can't impede the walkway and you need to wrap the wall here, and then I've got a matching condition over here, the same situation. Let me show you. All right, let's get to it. There we go. So this one right here is going to give you that same condition, so you don't impede the walkway. Select the post, and then boom, we got another great return that's in code. And notice that these are the same height, which is nice to start out with. All right, so what I'll do is I'll come up here, and just for any of these wall rails, if you want to return, I've noticed that I've tried to model the Grabrail, the new Grabrail macro. I think it's right up here, and it doesn't like any kind of short return. It'll get fouled up. So basically, you have to model these things with straight lines, and it's still a great macro. I mean, compared to nothing, that's for sure. I mean, they just introduced this recently. But if you want to create a return here, you're going to have to create a custom component that you can work with quickly. So these first two are my first attempt at that. So if you look at the orientation of this one right here, that's going to work. So we're going to, it asks to select the beam and then to select the point. And boom, we got a great looking return here. The same thing, you can allow modification here to create a miter if you want, instead of an elbow like that. I gotta get it, hold on a second here. And again, real simple to do. You've got your mitered point, or your return that's an elbow or curved. I set these at 3-inch centerline radius when I'm dealing with the elbows, because that's what our bending machine bends to 1 1/4 pipe at. Now this right here again is one of these deals where you're going to need a return that wraps to connect to the wall. And what I do here is I've created one that works out real well. I don't know the names of these yet. I just finished this up last night. Here we go. This one right here is going to give us what we need. So I'm going to select, double click that. It says select Grabrail level. This has to be a level Grabrail. And then select reference point, which is the center of the return. And that, again, I've already created this line in line with the center line of this tube, and at the proper distance to give me my code dimension. So I select that, and boom, there we go. We got another easy to do return. And the nice thing about it too is when you adjust the height of your Grabrail, these custom components will actually adjust in height along with it. which is real convenient. And again, you can explode this, or not explode it, but allow modification and change these to miters if you'd like. So this is a great tool, or these are great tools for finishing off rails, because some of you folks probably have run into the fact where you've had to do returns and you hadn't quite gotten to setting up the custom components, but they're extremely useful in this case. All right, well, that's my my first video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something from it.